Hi, everybody, and welcome to Ram Country Conversations. Brian Roth, your host, and today our guest is Dr. Christine Hardy, the Director of Operations and Strategy at the Flint Animal Cancer Center, the CSU Veterinary Teaching Hospital. We're here to talk about OneCure and the connection between human and pet oncology. Essentially, cures that work in pets could work in us. It's a fabulous topic. Dr. Hardy, thanks for taking a couple of minutes out to join us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about OneCure, something
All
I'm
right.
really passionate about.
Let's go ahead and start there. And for the folks that are tuning in, what is OneCure?
Yeah, well, OneCure is all about speeding new and promising and more effective treatments forward to help all cancer patients. It just so happens that especially dogs get a lot of the same cancers at a similar rate. We treat them the same. And by taking care of pets here in the clinic at CSU and other veterinary schools across the country, we learn not only for the benefit of other dogs and cats, but also potentially for the benefit of ourselves. And frankly, I think everybody's been touched by cancer. So it's a cause that I think we can all relate to. Nobody likes cancer. Most people like dogs. And as it turns out, the answer to cancer might be walking right beside us on the other end of the leash.
Yeah, and that's crazy to think about it. And when you talk about dogs getting cancer, about how many dogs get cancer per year?
Sure. Well, so in this country, probably about 1 million dogs will be diagnosed this year with cancer. To put that in perspective, about 1 in 4 dogs will develop cancer in their lifetime. Compared to humans, about 1 in 3 humans will develop cancer in their lifetime.
Okay.
So, and it's the leading cause of death over the age of 10 years old for our furry friends.
All right. It looks like, and your background's fabulous. You have some furry friends that are behind you as well as some other pictures too. Kind of describe a little bit about the pictures and how they relate to what we're talking about, OneCure here today.
Yeah, sure. Well, so I'm going to start with Meg O'Neill. So I'm kind of
Okay.
pointing to her. She is the founder of OneCure. She was inspired by the treatment of her own dog named Elway.
A
She's
great
a big
name.
football fan, so
That's right.
it's fitting for tackle cancer. And Elway had bone cancer. He was treated here at the Flint Animal Cancer Center. And Meg noticed that we had some posters downstairs that said, "One cancer, one medicine, one cure." She took home the idea that what we can learn in dogs with cancer can benefit people with cancer. And she said, you know what, we need to tell that story. And thus was born OneCure. So we have a lot to thank Meg for starting that initiative. So that's Meg's story. And then I'd like to tell you a couple of patient stories. And I've got 2 images over here. Let's start with Bogey, the border collie, who is jumping over that agility fence. He was a pioneer for a new type of radiation therapy. So when Bogey came to us from the Vail Valley, he actually he was paralyzed in his hind end, which is a real problem if you're an agility dog, right? He was quite the
Right.
athlete. For his particular type of cancer, his owner said, I think a full-on amputation of a hind limb is not a good fit for him. Are there any other options?
Right.
And we had never treated a dog with his type of cancer with this specialized, very high dose of radiation therapy. So a couple of treatments of high dose radiation therapy. Here's the good news. Bogey not only recovered from his cancer so that he could walk again, but this dog won the senior division of agility at the national competition about 7 to 9 months after he was treated for cancer, which is
Wow.
really quite a miracle. But his big legacy is that he taught us that we could treat that type of cancer with radiation therapy and that dogs can do just fine. And so many other dogs have benefited by the fact that we tried something new and it helped Bogey. And then the third story I'd like to tell you today is Emily Brown. And Emily is a 31-year survivor of bone cancer. And she's actually pictured there with Dr. Leah Gore, who is the head of pediatric hematology oncology at Children's Hospital Denver. So Dr. Gore actually called the founding director of the Flint Animal Cancer Center when Emily was out of treatment options. So her bone cancer had metastasized. It was in her lungs, and they had literally run out of options to treat her. Dr. Gore called us here and said, is there anything on clinical trials that's showing promise in dogs? So Dr. Gore is well aware that bone cancer is one of the poster children cancer types that is totally comparable between dogs and people. Sure enough, we had an immunotherapy that was available showing great promise in dogs. Emily was one of the first humans treated in the United States with that. And to kind of put this in perspective, Emily was terminal at that time. And now every year around Thanksgiving time, she writes a letter that she calls her Glad to Be Alive Day letter. And it is actually in celebration of the fact that, now 31 years later, she is still thriving. And it's all thanks to a clinical trial that was showing promise in dogs. And that's why she and her parents decided to enroll her in that same clinical trial.
This is amazing work. And you're sitting here and telling me that dogs can help cure cancer in people. I have 3 dogs at my house, and I look at it maybe a little bit differently after our conversation here today. But why dogs? Why canines?
Yeah. Well, it turns out genetically, we're pretty darn similar. So we share about 85% of our genetics, which is much, much closer than what rodents were typically used in cancer therapeutic development in that pipeline. They're only about 62% like us. In addition to that, these are not laboratory-induced cancers. This is cancer that develops naturally, just like it does in us. Dogs also happen to share our environment. Brian, where do your dogs live? They live in the house with you?
They do. 2 of them sleep on the bed.
Yeah, that's not an unusual story. You guys also share a similar water source. You might even share some food from time to time. So environmentally, they have the same exposures that we do. So you can almost think of them as sentinels in terms of disease development. Also, we treat them in the exact same way that people are treated. So surgery, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, immunotherapy, those are all common modalities used to treat cancer. We do the same for our pets when they come in to be treated. We simply take advantage of that opportunity to learn from these dogs, cats too, but dogs are a little bit more similar to us. So like I said, what we learn in taking care of pet dogs with cancer not only benefits other dogs like Bogey, but also potentially people like Emily.
All right, Dr. Hardy, to wrap this up, how can people learn more about OneCure?
Sure. The easiest way to learn about us is to go to www.onecure. And from that website, you'll be able to learn all sorts of things about how you can get involved. If you happen to have a pet with cancer, there are also really good resources there to find care either in your local area or come to CSU. We have an amazing oncology program here and lots of clinical trials that are available.
Dr. Hardy, thanks so much. Appreciate you taking a couple of minutes out of your busy schedule here on this Tackle Cancer Week here up at Colorado State. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, it is absolutely my pleasure. Brian, I'm wondering if we have just 30 seconds that I can let you know that, Emily's story is one that's related to bone cancer. We have another clinical trial that recently showed really good results in dogs. So good, in fact, that OneCure is sponsoring the first ever clinical trial in people, currently enrolling children with bone cancer, both at Children's Hospital Colorado and also at Children's Hospital in Atlanta. And we're very, very hopeful that the kids with bone cancer will have similar positive outcomes to what the dogs with bone cancer have had. So this is what OneCure is all about, speeding cures forward to help all cancer patients.
Yep. Absolutely. Inspirational stuff. Dr. Hardy, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right. That's Dr. Christine Hardy, Director of Operations and Strategy at the Flint Animal Cancer Center, talking about OneCure. I'm Brian Roth. Thanks for watching Ram Country Conversations.